WLPN LP Chicago 105.5 FM Lumpen Radio. Hey, Chicago. Welcome to 2 o'clock. What a dream to be here with you on Saturday. Today is a fun conversation that we have planned for you because we have Maurice Proffitt in the building, and I have a fun intro that I wrote up to share. So today on the show, we've got someone whose story is wildly good, the kind of creative who's been shaped by rejection, rebuilt by community, empowered by a stubborn belief in making space for people who don't fit the mold. Maurice is here with me live, and we're getting into it, the childhood sparks that made him a storyteller, the moment he stopped waiting for permission, the fear of success he had to outgrow, and the twist that almost made him quit. If you ever felt overlooked, underestimated, or right on the edge of something big, this conversation's for you. So listener, as you're out and about today, I hope you enjoy. Maurice, welcome to Nosy AF Live on Lumpen.
Thank you. And no, I'll take the king of creative.
Yeah, no,
well. I'll totally take that as well. So
Let me edit myself.
Yeah, we can let that sit for a little bit and enjoy it. But thank you so much, Stephanie, for having me on the show. I am so excited about being here. I'm so geeked about being here right now.
Man, let's just get into this whole fear of success. That's something that motivated you, right?
Yeah,
Talk
absolutely. You know, that I remember hearing that phrase the first time back in high school. I was taking this business class. It was kind of like a general introduction to business course that you take in high school. And I remember the teacher at that time saying that phrase. That was the first time I ever heard it, was fear of success. I did not understand what that even meant remotely, because I'm like, why would you have an instilled fear of succeeding, of being able to go forward, even grow? Like, I didn't get what that meant. Yeah. And that's time. So that always kind of sat with me, you know, and I felt it was a reason to sit with me, because that term allowed me to understand where we are collectively in life when it comes to progressing, when it comes to getting to that next pinpoint that we want to achieve. And even though, we want to be able to strive for that next level in our lives, striving for that next level in our lives does come with a lot of responsibility, and it comes with a lot of understanding that you are going to be challenged all the time. You will always, be, faced with some type of adversity, some type of plight, whatever it may have you, because you're going to this next level and whatnot. And doing that, though, having to face that responsibility really is very daunting. It's not the most attractive part of the process. But what I've learned, though, is that with all of those things being thrown in your direction, when it comes to all the hurdles that you have to endure to be able to grow, that's the point, is growth that comes from it. And that right there, to me, is like a true testament of can you really truly handle this type of success that's being brought to you? You're going to have to face an avalanche of problems, on this way up. But if you're able to endure that, then you'll become better than what you were the previous day. So to me, it's like, cool, bring the avalanche.
Yeah.
Bring the avalanche, bring the tidal wave of problems that's going to come with this, because to me it's going to be worth it in the end, knowing that I was better than what I was 24 hours ago.
Yeah. There was this, I think it was maybe American Express had this fun commercial where it was these furniture designers, and it was obviously promoting a credit card, but the furniture designer's like, man, we got to order some more furniture. And his partner's like, why? He's like, we're all out of furniture. He's like, what if this keeps happening? He's like, and he was just freaking out in his face. You got to use more money. Oh my God. He's like, that is the point. This is what we want to do. We want to grow. We want to grow.
Yeah. And right. Exactly. And, because obviously everyone likes the idea of, being able to, level up and be able to go into a much a much higher direction. And
Right.
everyone likes that. Everyone wants that. And, everyone wants, like if you work like a 9 to 5, especially, you want the promotion. You go into the entry level job saying, okay, I'm going to do this entry level work. I'm going to do, the office admin work or, whatever may have you, whatever the entry level job is. And what do people say? People say, I'm going to work my way up. You always hear people say, I'm going to work my way up and all. And that's great. That's great to have that type of ambition because you want to think bigger than what you were thinking yesterday, But when what happens a lot of times when people when they actually are offered, that next level of opportunity, like I was talking about earlier, the responsibilities get a lot heavier and you have a lot more eyes onto you as you are being held accountable for so much more. Are you able to handle it though? Are you able to handle it? So and a lot of times people will draw back from that when they say, oh, wait, I got to do extra work? I got to put in extra hours? I got to be here later? I got to do A, B, C, and X, Y, Z? Maybe that entry level job is cool. I'm good with that. I'm good with that for real. But, and that's fine. And that's fine because at least at that point, you are being honest with yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're being honest with yourself if you know that that's not, I don't want to take that big of a bite from the cookie.
Yeah.
I'm cool with the crumbs. You know what I'm saying? But there is somebody else that's going to want to take that large bite of the cookie.
Period. Yeah. Well.
You feel me?
You dream big. You have lots of goals. You've done so much. You have, is it 2 production companies, B-Side Productions and Dreamscape?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell us about, so before B-Side, before theater, before film, who was Little Maurice? Because Maurice is a director. Is that how you classify yourself, as a director?
A producer.
Producer. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. A producer. So before B-Side, tell us, Little Maurice, where were you imagining? Where were you drawing, performing? What hinted that you were, a storyteller?
So, oh man, I mean, this is so, it's so many. I mean, we got an hour.
Right. This is going to be a 16-hour show.
Yeah, this is right. This is episode 1 of many seasons. I'm saying, but no, in a nutshell, really, as far back as I can remember, and I know this might be sounding like a little cliche and everything, but this is the God honest truth. I've always been just inherently invested into the arts in some way, shape, or form. When I was younger, I wanted to do nothing but draw. I was drawing everything that I could. I even had my own little cartoon skits and cartoon little comics that I would make for myself and everything, and my friends. We trade them off of each other and everything. We had our own characters, original characters, and that's what introduced me to the into the love of just storytelling in general. Was being able to create a character, with my hands and be able to put them into this problem and see how they're going to resolve it. So in my mind was, okay, you got to understand how to be able to tell the story of how this character is going to get from this situation to that situation. And so it was all about the in-between and, and building those benchmarks to have them get to that conclusion that I wanted to get them to. I'm like, okay, how do I get them to this last part of the panel where they're the victors? Yeah, we win. So that's what really brought me into the area of storytelling, and then from there it just kind of graduated. From there, I started to write poetry, because in school we got introduced to poetry, and then when you're in school you do short stories, and I always loved it when we wrote short stories, in our English classes and whatnot,
right.
Yeah, and then one day I had this urge to, because I had a story in my mind where I just wanted to just boot up the computer, because this is when we had the computers with the big back, the big back computers. Boot that bad boy up, go into the word processor and just let my fingers roll, and just let them go, and then just write a story that I had in my mind and everything. And then it just kept snowballing, to be honest with you. It just kept snowballing where I got to a point where I could actually have this into a much more structured and conducive environment, to be able to bring stories to life, ideas to life into the form of a story. And so And because, when you get into that space, you just like, okay, I want to do this, I want to do that. You have all of these wants of what you want to, compile, but you just don't really have direction on how to be able to like, how to be able to contain it and be able to put it in the right direction to be able to get to, like that, to be able to get to that, like that area where, everything kind of makes sense and it's much more clear, so that was learning process in its own. But eventually it got to a point where after so many tries on my end of trying to become like a residential director, a residential writer, a residential whatever may have you, with a lot of like the playhouses here in Chicago, you get rejected after rejected after rejected so many times, and the thing is that I'm just gonna be honest with you, I had so much in terms of ideas in my head of like what was missing from the Chicago creative scene, what could be applied, what I was able to bring to the table as well, just based off like the experience I already had previously, in the suburbs and all the good stuff and everything. And what I could, how the kind of value that I wanted to bring. And so I would go into these applications and even sometimes these interviews just with bursting with like so much like enthusiasm of showing like, hey, bring me onto your team and, we can elevate together because I want to see us all grow. My way of thinking is like, let's collaborate, let's work together and whatnot. But learning the hard way of how, unfortunately, how political a lot of this stuff is out here, when it comes to the Chicago creative scene, you learn the hard way that, when you're not part of these little cliques that surround the city and everything, and you're not part of these little inside groups, you're always going to be kept on the outside. So to me, it was like, okay, cool. Keep me on the outside. That's perfectly fine. Because from the outside, I'm gonna show you from the outside what we are doing outside, and why you on the inside, you want to be outside. Yeah. When you see what we have cooking.
Right. Yeah, it's like, okay, I can just do my own thing. Like, I don't have to do things with you guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. Because, because to me, at a certain point, Stephanie, it was like, I got tired of asking permission to be great. Yeah. I already know what I'm able to bring value-wise. I already know this already, all right? And to me, it became kind of silly when I kind of thought about it, where I'm like, here is so-and-so who I've never met in my life. I've never even heard of who you are. And I had to prove to myself, to you, that I am good and I'm me. And then you have the nerve to evaluate me. Right. You can miss me with that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, especially like if you have something inside of you that you want to create. I've heard this with lots of creatives where even talent who's like in Hollywood, they're like, they're not getting the parts that they want, or, the opportunities that they want, so they just make them themselves.
Absolutely. And that's the thing is that, like, I don't want to come off as like, I don't want anyone listening out in radio land like who's this arrogant so-and-so.
No, this is meant to encourage and inspire.
Right, and that's the thing, right, and that's exactly, and that's the thing, I can come across that way, and that's fine, but the thing is, though, is that it's only because of self-belief. Yeah. Now, what you just said right there in terms of, like, being able to, create your own, that's why I love the era that we're living in right now. Mm-hmm. We have these resources upon us where we don't need gatekeepers anymore to ask permission to be great. We can showcase our own talents on a very highly professional and highly productive level to be able to display what's in us and what's in our hearts. You know what I mean? So, like, we have those capabilities right now. And that's why I highly encourage not just young folks, but even folks our age or even
Yeah.
older than us.
Yeah.
Please be involved. Please get yourself get your hands deep into these tech areas, into these creative outlets, because especially if that's what you really want to be involved with. You know what I mean? Get your hands deep into these areas and understand, like, you know, like how to be able to function out here with all what's available to us, because now is the time to be able to be whatever it is that you want. And once again, I know that's a cliche term, but it is so true, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is so true.
Yeah. Get out there. Everybody, stop what you're doing and go make your dreams come true.
Seriously, like now, like pull over and start right now.
Okay. Oh my gosh. But you know, like, just going back to like the thought of rejection, was there a rejection that did hit you like really hard though, where you were like, dang, it's really messed up?
Yeah, there was. I'm not going to put them on blast like that.
Yeah.
But there's a very prominent theater company that's out here in the city. And they have this like this fellowship program that they like recruit for every year and whatnot. You know, they have this program, and the fellowship program, in all fairness, it's absolutely amazing. It's absolutely incredible. And you know what it's all about is about you know, bringing in artists who may not have the background and may not have like the formal experience of going to like a prominent university or whatever may have you, to like, you know, to make those inroads. But it gives them an opportunity to be able to be a part of this kind of this internal circle where they're able to work with their residential directors or residential writers or residential producers and things of that nature, among with other peers, you know, who are on the same level as they are as well too, and you all grow together as artists. You know, so that the fellowship, I believe, is like for like a year or two or something like that, like once you're accepted and whatnot. And so when I came across it, I was like, oh my God! Like it was, to me. It
has
really,
my name on it.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this is a godsend.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, this is it. And to me, it was like, this is the reason why you have been going through the hurdles you've been going through, because it led you to this moment right here, right? And even so, more so to the point, I was like, okay, because I believed in it so much. I like even like volunteered a lot with you know, with said company, you know, with like certain events, certain like clubs or whatever like that, because I wanted to be visible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I wanted them to know that I'm here, you know, I'm here because I want to be here, but I want to be here and, you know, in a much bigger way, and be able to contribute, you know, in a much bigger way and whatnot. So I was very visible, I was very active, I was very involved and whatnot and everything. They knew I was applying for the fellowship as well too and everything, and I poured my heart into this application. I poured my heart into it. Hand to God, I even because you know how you gotta get like recommendation letters and whatnot and everything. I even had the mayor of Schaumburg write me a recommendation letter. Come on, for real, because I'm like, I'm going after every heavy gun I can get so I can get into this. You know what I'm saying? And so the application was pristine, perfect. It was the definition of perfection. Of like, I'm like, it can't be any or perfect. And this is before ChatGPT, so this is all like written from my heart. You know what I'm saying? This is all just real deal. You know what I mean? Real deal, raw and authentic.
You know it's real when you're not using ChatGPT.
Okay, right, exactly. We didn't have none of that back then. I will never forget the day I got a rejection letter for that fellowship,
brutal, bro.
and that was the perfect word to describe right now: brutality. Like that heartbreak. I've never had heartbreak, and I've been broken up a lot by a lot of different women before. Trust me.
Oh, Lord.
You know what I'm saying? That's a whole other conversation, y'all. But and Stephanie knows some of them too. But for real. But that was the epitome of heartbreak.
Yeah.
And that's actually why you playing. that was kind of like what made me say enough is enough.
Mm-hmm.
And now it really is time for you to shift this into a different gear and create your own space.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So even though that really did shatter everything,
Yeah.
I mean, it was shattering, like, getting that news, because after, like, you invest so much time into it. But then when I look back onto it and I see what was birthed from that anguish, like, this is when the phoenix rises from the ashes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so to me, that was like, okay, I needed that punch in the jaw. I needed that knockout blow.
That's impressive.
And
I
that's-
feel like
yeah.
I would look at them and be like, man, I've been heartbroken, just applied the next year.
Right.
But you took and you're like, I'm just going to go do my own thing. I'm never going to apply to this again.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. And I frequently, I'm in that neighborhood a lot, so I'll see that location, and I'm just like, to me, I was like, you're lost. You know what I'm saying? Like, it totally is your loss. Like trust me, I don't like sit there and like cry about it every night. Still,
Right, of course,
like that.
of course.
You know what I mean? But like, it's just like when I think about it, right, like here and there, I'm just like, that was one of those L's you need to take.
Yeah.
That was a very purposeful L.
That's really cool to hear that like empowered you that much to go off and do your thing, because like I just said, like I will just shake it off, but I feel like I apply to so many things and get rejected. And so I'm like almost used to it. Like, it seems like they have like these things like rejection challenges where they tell people to just apply for things or like ask for things just to numb yourself. I can't think of the name of the book. I'll find it like at the break, but yeah, like this guy, he would just go up and like ask somebody like, oh, can I have $20? Just so they could be like, no.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
and they'd be like, and he would be like, okay, but then maybe somebody would give him $20.
Wow.
So he would just keep doing this. So I've gotten into like the practice of just like applying, because even if it's no, it's like, okay, I just keep going,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And also at the same time, just to add to that, and to kind of coattail what you're talking about, like, as I'm thinking about what you're saying, I don't think that's a bad idea in a way. Like, maybe you don't have to like be that bold and go up to somebody like, on Michigan Avenue, be like, let me hold a dub. You know what I mean? You ain't gotta be that bold. But even if you're like let's say you're applying for you go online, you apply for a job on Indeed, a job you have no business applying for because it's way beyond. It's like thermonuclear dynamic, engineer or something like that, and you barely can count to 6.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? but just applying for something like that that's way out of your realm. Something like that, just to be able to and be able to get those rejections.
Yeah,
you're right. It kind of does apply with what you're talking about in terms of like, okay, I know how to be able to kind of take these L's.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I'm actually not mad at that, because you're right. Because like after a while, when you're applying so much for whether it be jobs, whether it be for grants, whether it be for for programming or whatever it may have you. Like after so many of them, you just kind of get to a point where you're like, all right, just keep on moving, just keep on pushing. Where there's other people who don't have that, who have not experienced that plight. So when they get that rejection, it really does hurt.
Yeah,
them, because they're not used to that. But so being used to it is kind of like a superpower in itself.
Yeah, it's like one of those things people are like, the least they could say is no, and they really mean that. They're like, what? They just say no.
Sure.
And that's a wrap.
And that's the end of it.
And that's the end of it.
And also at the same time, that gives you an opportunity not only for a time to heal, but also it's like, okay, it's definitive. It's over with. Let's move on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no need to go back.
Yeah.
All this back and forth.
Asking why or whatever. No, it is what it is now.
Right. So then when you had this one rejection and then you start your project, is that B-Side Productions that you started first?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay. Tell us about B-Side Studios. Like, why the name B-Side?
So B-Side came about when I was thinking of the name. I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew what the purpose was. I knew what I wanted our identity to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew what the direction was, but I'm like, I just don't have a name. So I'm just going through my head of like, I wanted a name that really does kind of capture that unsung hero, that that rebellious kid, that was in the classroom. So I was out, and I was thinking that for a while. No one knows this.
Come on, exclusive.
Yeah, for real. Here it comes. But for a while, it really was going to be like Rebellion Studios or something of that nature, right? But then so I was leaning on that for a minute, but I was like, that's not the most that like it's marketable to a certain point, but it can be very confusing and it can be intimidating, and I'm like, I didn't want that. So this is what led me to it. Do you remember, and I know you remember, obviously, but back in the day, we used to have singles. We used to listen to these cassette tapes called singles. And the single was always the very popular song that was on the radio, And, like that was a song that was always on the radio and whatnot and everything. So you got the single. And the single was that popular song along with the instrumental on side A. Side B of that tape would be another song that came from the artist, because the side A song, that came from the label. That came from what the label wanted you to hear.
I did not know that.
But side B of the tape, that came from the artist. And it was always a song that you didn't know, but it came from the artist, either from the album that they were releasing, like an unknown song, or a song that they never released. But it always came from the artist. That this is the artist saying, this is what I want you to hear. Okay. So my thing was like, this is, and the thing is, the side B was always some fire too. It was always something that was fire. It was like, ooh, you like that. and my thing was that I wanted to encapsulate that idea of that. This us in terms of like B-side, we may not be the ones who came from like your prestigious colleges, or who came from like a great upbringing in terms of like the arts, whoever may have you. We are going to be the ones who are very non-traditional. We are going to be the ones that you have not heard of. We are going to be those hidden gems. You're absolutely right. But when you see our product, what we put out there, whether it be on the stage, whether it be on screen, whether it be from an audio standpoint, it is going to make you say, "Ooh!" You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that was my thing. I'm like, so when I was like B-side Studios,
I love that.
I'm like, that's it right there, because that says everything. I'm like, it encapsulates everything in terms of who we are when it comes to our identity. Our identity. It lets you know that, we are the kids that you may not know about, but when you hear about us, you will not forget us. And on the business marketing side, it's a very marketable name as well too.
Yeah.
That really does scratch at the curiosity.
Yeah.
So as soon as I came up with that, I'm like, oh man, we are running with this bad boy now.
I love that. As a matter of fact, Janet Jackson, one of my faves, she has a song called On, and it starts off B-side. This is a song about summertime. And I'm like, I never really like, I sing along, but I never knew the whole like background behind like B-side, which I really love that thought, because it's like that can apply to so many things. Like, this is maybe like what the gallerist picked out, but this is my favorite piece, or like this is the photo that the client picked out, but this is the photo I would have picked out. Like, A-side is like what the studios pick, but the B-side is what we pick, which I really, really love.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's coming from the heart of the artist.
Yes, I love that. I never knew that. Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, listen, we are going to take a quick break, and then we will be back with Maurice Proffitt. Real talk. How many opportunities have you bookmarked and never applied to? I know I have, and you know what? It happens. The admin part of the work we're doing is understandably boring and tedious. But when you neglect it, it can cost you real opportunities. That's why I created Artist Admin Hour, because behind every exhibition is a clear budget submitted that makes sense. Admin is the flex. It's the work that makes the work work. But you don't have to do it alone. Every Wednesday, 7 to 9 p.m. Central, artists show up on Zoom to tackle what we've been avoiding. Residency applications, grant apps, budgets, invoices, whatever's on your list. 2 hours of body doubling with structure, no shame, and real community. $25 to $45 a month gets you in, but if that's not doable, email me because getting this done is very important. We will make it work. Stop letting admin sabotage your practice. Join us today at artistadminhour.com. WLPN LP Chicago 105.5 FM Lumpen Radio. This is Nosy AF Live on Lumpen. I am your host, Stephanie Graham, and we have Maurice Proffitt in the studio with us today. So before we went to break, I was mentioning this rejection book, and the name of the book is called Rejection Proof: How I Beat Fear and Became Invincible Through 100 Days of Rejection. So I just wanted to mention that because I couldn't remember it when we were talking before. So, Maurice, before we went to break, we were talking about B-side studios. And the whole, what I'm curious, in your own life, what was your personal B-side? The thing, people didn't see but mattered the most. Do you have anything like that comes to mind?
I do, in fact.
Okay.
And I think that you'll appreciate this.
Okay, I hope the listener will as well.
Yeah. Oh, they definitely will.
Okay.
Absolutely, without question. And I'm certain that a number of people will be able to relate with this as well too. So, and this is germane to just like my personal life growing up and whatnot. So, and trust me, just bear with me. I'm going to answer your question.
We're with you.
Okay. So I grew up in a town called Schaumburg, Illinois. And
shout out to Schaumburg, man.
Schaumburg, baby,
I grew up there as well, as you know.
Right. You know, right. Exactly. You already know.
I always rep it. When people are always repping their city, I've been coming through Schaumburg, and people are laughing. I'm like, what's funny? That's where I grew up.
That's literally right. Like, what do you want me to say? Right. Exactly. And so obviously, Stephanie and I, we grew up in the same town and everything like that. So we understand the dynamics, what it's like out there, especially being black. And there was coming up black in the 90s in Schaumburg, was very interesting, because there was this identity of blackness that was out there that was pretty prominent in terms of how black people were classified, because there weren't a lot of black folks in Schaumburg in the totality, especially back then. So when we saw somebody black out there, it was there's a good chance you knew them from church or something like that, you know what I'm saying? And especially school. So you run to them at the cleaners and you're hey, there go Mrs. Williams,
right.
you know?
What's up, Sean?
Right. You know what I'm saying? You knew everyone. But the thing is though, also there was kind of this way of being when you were black out there in Schaumburg. And, a lot of times it kind of mirrored kind of the, kind of what you see a lot on TV when it came to being kind of tough and, being, trying to be hood and, things of that nature. You saw a lot of black folks out there, being this way and whatnot. And, granted, there were folks, who came from the city that lived out there. And there were folks who were raised out there and everything, and then they were just mirroring what they were seeing on television and here on the radio and whatnot. So I mean, it was what it was. But if you were black and you did not really identify with that, then you were lumped into this other category of you ain't really black, So you were kind of lumped into this weird category like that and whatnot, right? That's a whole cultural issue right there and everything that needs to be discussed and whatnot. However, what was interesting though, and this is where I'm answering your question, what was interesting was that because of that lumped area, that because I don't identify with the former, as you could tell by the way I am, but because I didn't identify with the former, and I was more so with the latter, and because I was lumped into that category of the non-hood brother or whatever may have you, I developed some of the best friendships I ever could assemble, being lumped into that category. And And these are these are people that that mean the world to me. These are people who mean the absolute world to me to this day. And to this day, we are still the best of friends. That we'll ever, and at this point, it's like this is a friendship that's gonna go on for the rest of our lives. But because we were like, our entire group were like the black folks who were not like the hood wannabe thugs, whatever it may have it, because we weren't that. We were who we were. We just were just like about having just living life, having fun, being who we were, just being ourselves, and being who we are. You know what I mean? But because we were lumped into that outsiders B-side category, right, in a way, that for me, I was able to get, like I said, I was able to gain the greatest people I've ever known in my life, and I'll always love. To the day I'm laid to rest, even beyond that. Yeah. So that's my personal B-sides. Is just the friendships that I was able to make from being put into that category.
I love that. Friendship is such an interesting thing. I had recently taught this workshop randomly about confidence, and I don't even know, I was invited to teach a workshop, and for some reason confidence came to mind, but more so confidence where, hey, apply for the thing, put your story out there, hit publish on the blog post, that kind of confidence. Absolutely. In that lane. But in that conversation, a lot of things came up where people lacked confidence. It was all through a lot of times through friendships, which was such an interesting thing because, people always my friends are my chosen family, and it was just wow, people really get messed up through friendships. Friends can really pierce a lot of these folks that were in there who they were afraid to post about their fashion brand because an old friend might see it on Instagram, but they didn't want to block the friend or delete the friend because that would bring this whole other social dynamic that was just made them spiral.
Sure.
And it's just sort of wild, how friendships just, I don't know, they just totally make you. They can make or break you.
Yeah, they really can too as well. And you're right. And that's a really great example too as well. And that's the thing is that you shouldn't have to feel so restricted around around those folks. Yeah. And because that's the thing is that I know that phrase is used a whole lot when it comes to your friends or the family that you create yourself, or I'm paraphrasing. Yeah. But you get what I'm saying. But and if that's the case, then these are the people that you should have the most comfort with, the most comfort level with, the folks that you can hey, I can go 7 months without seeing you, but then when I see you in 7 months, we literally pick up right where we left off, and it's also at the same time there's no angst or there's no awkwardness, there's no issue that we haven't communicated or haven't seen each other in so long or whatever it may have you, because what's embedded is so strong that it's undeniable and it's unbreakable at the same time. So so with that being said, you should, that person, the person that you gave the example of, posting their fashion sense and getting some and having some drawbacks about posting it, they shouldn't have put themselves in that position, because it's your friend should love you for who you are,
right?
Even if it's totally different. You know what I mean? Think about your groups, the circles of the friendship circles that you have as well, and think about the differences that lie within that in terms of it could be just ideologies, it could be philosophical things, it could be just when it comes to natural understandings or whatever may have you. There could be differences, but that doesn't make you love them any less, or fear of that what they're going to say any less, because they already know who you are. Yeah. And they appreciate you because they appreciate you.
Yeah. I want to jump over to your first film because I want to make sure we talk about it. Broke AF, right? Yeah. Which I love because, we match with Nosy AF. So.
The AF family.
Yes. What was the best part of making that film?
Wow. Yeah.
And do you still screen it?
No, I don't.
Man, you should.
I don't. It's just out there in YouTube land right now.
Okay.
Wow, Broke AF. Sorry, I didn't think we were gonna talk about that. So here's the thing. Broke AF, it was very ambitious. And I'll admit that. It was very ambitious because it literally was my first film endeavor.
Okay.
That I was taking on. And I was like, and going back to the cookie, I wanted to take a major, massive bite of the cookie. Mm-hmm. So instead of having my first film be like a short film or whatever may have you, I'm like, let's bypass the short film. Let's even bypass the feature. Let's make an entire web series, right? Let's make 6 episodes, right? Because once again, I had this crazy idea. I'm like, I can develop 6 different stories of 6 different 20-some-year-olds who are going through 6 different issues in their own way that replicate being broke in your 20s. Because who hasn't been broke in their 20s, right? You know, like we were all broke as ever when we were walking around in our 20s and whatnot. And Lord knows I had so many broke moments that I had so many stories to go along with that. So I wanted to take a big bite of the cookie. I said this could happen. So what happened was that after this play I did, this play I wrote and directed, it was called I Want You to Want Me. And that came out in 2016, I think it was. This in the summer of 2016. It was a cool play. It had a 2-week run at Gorilla Tango. Good stuff, real fun stuff. And after we wrapped, the cast and I, we all went out for some beers and pizza, and the two of the guys who were part of the production, we were just talking, whatever may have you, and they're like, okay, well, what you got going on next? And so I was telling them about the idea about Broke AF, and I was thinking about making it into a play at first. But then I was like, maybe it'll be a play, but it'll be like, a long, just like a long, extensive play and everything. They're like, dude, what that idea should be, we should film it. And so we started talking about the logistics of filming, because they were more like they were DPs, like they were director of photography. So like they had like the camera equipment and all this stuff. I knew jack about that stuff, but they were able to kind of sell me on the idea of being able to video capture the story instead. And so right after we had that conversation, I was so pumped about the idea of us doing it that I just started immediately writing the scripts for it. And a year later, in the summer of 2017, that's when we started filming. And we, man, by the grace of God or whomever you pray to, we were able to bang that out. Wow. And we had, oh my goodness, we had so many people who were involved in that project. We had up to about like 25 people who were involved in that project, actor-wise. Oh wow! So I mean, so many people really believed in the vision as well too, and we had us set locations. Obviously, like we had a good story, we had wardrobe, we had all that stuff. It was all guerrilla style. Yeah, it was all completely guerrilla style. And it came out. It came out cool. We did a cool screening for it at the University of Chicago, and so that was a success. And then we were able to roll it out into Amazon Prime. Oh, nice. And so Very cool. It was on Prime for a couple of years, and now it's just on YouTube. But yeah, I wanted to do like something that was a big splash, and I'm gonna be real with you, Stephanie. I was happy about that, even though it was a ton of work. Yeah. It was a ton of work, but making that big cannonball splash into the pool, then it seemed like anything after that, when it came to filmmaking, was such a breeze compared to what we went through that summer. Yeah, you know what I mean. So even making the because then I made a short film after that called.
Oh, now you want to make a short.
Yeah, I know, right, exactly. Now you want to do it, right? Now you want right. But then I made a short film called "What Are We Gonna Eat?" But that right there, because I just got done doing Broke AF, man, that was, oh my God, that was easy breezy. Because like I said, I'm like, I'm so used to doing. I was already used to doing. We had to do an entire day where we dedicate to make a 30-minute piece. Now we're making this 10-minute piece. Oh, this is love. Wrote the script, got the spot. We filmed it half a day. and boom, that was it. It was because like we did such a big ambitious project first that going to like something smaller was much easier.
Do you edit your own projects too?
Now I do.
Oh,
But
now you do.
Now I do, yeah. No, but back then I didn't. Back then
wow.
I had an editor.
What made the switch?
Save money.
Oh, okay.
To save money and to just because that was a skill set I wanted to learn my own.
Yeah.
It's really good to have that skill set to be
Yeah,
able to
it really
understand
is.
it. You know?
Oh, okay.
And plus, you get to a point where you don't want to be the guy bothering your hey man, can you do ABC XYZ, you know what I'm saying? And you're waiting on them. They have other projects. You feel like you're becoming a nuisance. So it's like I'm like, I don't and like and my editors they were all like, I was friends with them.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to like, burden our friendship, you know what I mean, over this. I'm like, Maurice, just learn it.
Yeah.
Just learn the program. You know what I mean? You should want to know this anyway. And plus, and I'm so glad I did because I learned, because now like when I edit when I edit the Nerdium and whatnot, I enjoy it. I take I use the entire day. I make myself like something like a nice beverage and everything like that. I have music playing and everything. It's a good ambiance. You know what I'm saying? I'm just in that creative zone, and then I'm able to like put my own spin on the things or whatever. I'm like, dude, you should have been doing this, man. This is a vibe.
Yeah, when I have my own, like Nosy has like a podcast too. I've started to edit that myself under the suggestion of a mentor, just like to learn audio editing. I would do it myself, and then at first I used to edit it myself, and then I ended up bringing on editors just for sake of time because like working in production, it was like really hard to keep up with everything. But then since I haven't been on a production, I've like taken that back to save money, right? Because I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to cut costs. But it has been nice to edit myself and like hear the conversations back, and you can like put stuff here, put stuff there, where maybe before the editor's like, oh, you want to put that stuff there? Well, that'll be an additional $75. And it's like, oh, that's okay.
Preach, right. Seriously, exactly.
Yeah, so it is nice to learn. It has been nice to do that.
Yeah. And you get these ideas, that you don't initially see like when you're going through the actual recording process.
Yeah.
So you have time to be able to step away from it, let things kind of marinate a little bit. And then like when you're actually doing the editing, then something might pop into your head. You're like, what sound really cool right here, or what will look really great right here. Then you're able to add that, and that just adds more to it. But there could be, but it leaves open when you're working with someone else. It leaves open a disconnect that could happen where they're not seeing like what it is that you're seeing.
Yeah.
So they may include something that like you may not like, but for the sake of time, you're like, I'm just gonna roll with it.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't have to settle.
Yeah. Yeah, don't settle. So much of our talk has been about like giving yourself permission and all this kind of stuff. I'm just curious, like if you could talk to the version of yourself still waiting for permission, what would you tell him?
What would I tell him? I mean, obviously I would tell him, just trust yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Trust yourself. Don't lose trust in yourself, and trust it, and trust the vision of what you have. Do not be discouraged. This world is going to eat you alive, and that's anybody. That's not just not to younger me. That's anybody. This world is ready to eat you alive. We are. We coming up as children. We're prepped for we're prepped in a certain type of like single stroke of the brush where it seems like everyone has the same framework in terms of like how we're prepped for life, but we don't really get prepped for life until we are actually living in the trenches of life itself. Whether it be like when we're toddlers, adolescents, teenagers, young adults, whatever it is, we learn life when life is kicking our butt, but the thing is though that we're not prepared for that part of life later on. We're not prepared for that. Because like when you're coming up, you're told so much like you could be whatever you want to be, and the world is your oyster, and the sky's the limit, whatever like that. You're told all these cliches and everything, and they're nice little buzzwords, and they're nice to hear on the Hallmark card, but what I'm saying, like, but you kind of need those slaps in the face or the understanding of the preparation of the slap in the face, to understand that, like, this is what the majority of life is going to be like, and so I would say to myself, you are going to be knocked down so many times. Mm-hmm. You're going to be knocked down so many times in so many different variations that you never could imagine, in very creative ways. Where you ever got knocked down, or you ever got like blindsided by something so crazy where you're like, oh my God, like how did the world even conjure that situation to occur right now? That was so like beyond like crazy. So like, that's going to happen. So I would tell myself, just to really never lose belief in you and never lose trust in you, never lose trust in yourself, because this world is going to tell you otherwise, that you ain't fill in the blank. Yeah. It's going to tell you that so many times, but you cannot allow that to ever get into your head. Yeah.
I remember one time I went to a Little Kim concert and I fell down and everybody saw me fall and they were like, ooh, and I'm like, that was terrible. But you know what? I got up. Yeah. And then many years later, I fell down again, another party.
Right.
I'm just falling. It's like, why did I fall? What is going on here? What is going on?
It's going to happen. But, it's funny you said that, though. Stay right there, though, for a hot second. Because are you a fan of Batman?
I just know of him. I've seen the movies, but I don't know like his whole history.
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, all right. In Batman Begins, that was Christopher Nolan's first Batman when he took on the trilogy. But in Batman Begins, Thomas Wayne, Bruce Wayne's father, he asked Bruce, why do we fall? And Bruce said, why? And he asked why, and Thomas Wayne said, so we can learn to get up. Yeah. So we can learn to get up, and we can learn to rise. And I feel like that line is so underrated, and or not underrated. I'm sorry, I take it back. Underrated, underappreciated. Okay. It's very underappreciated because clearly, like you said right now, you were at the Lil' Kim concert and you fell. And obviously, you didn't just live on the ground the rest of the time. You're not there anymore. So you got back up. And you kept it going. But that's the thing, though, is that like there is a very unappreciated power that lies within that, because especially in that situation right there, you're probably at the United Center, or what I'm saying, like, when that happens. So that's 16,000 people who saw that happen all around you. I know I just like maximize the embarrassment by saying that. Like, she's like, dang, I didn't even think about that. The attendance number, Maurice. Okay. Right? But that's many people who saw that and many people who reacted. But they reacted. And they reacted, right? And they probably went home and talked about it. However, let's not skip over the fact that you took the strength to be able to endure all that, get back on your feet, dust yourself off, and what you do, you kept it moving. Right. Period. That's strength.
You have no choice also. Like, I have to get up. I can't just be in the middle. Like, there's 16,000 people, as you pointed out, like 60,000 people here. That's like, ma'am, we got to keep walking. Get up. Right. Get up.
We got to close now. So are you supposed to keep on laying there? we have to clean up. Okay. Oh, even Lil' Kim was like, girl, are you all right? Yeah. in section 101.
Oh my gosh. I meant to ask with because you've worked in both film and theater, what section of like in the whole like film or theater process do you feel the most alive? It's like the rehearsing, the writing, the directing, the editing. Do you have like a favorite part of that process that like lights you up?
Ooh, man. The safe answer is everything. Because trust me, everything is the entire journey. The entire journey is incredible, overall. But man, like it's something about. All right, I'm gonna stick with theater. Okay. Just for a hot second, right?
Yeah. That's fine.
When the night of the show.
Okay.
The night of the show.
Yeah.
When you see you feel the end. You feel a kinetic energy that's among everyone. That's in the air. The electricity is so thick you can cut it with a knife. That energy is there. You see it on the faces of all the actors. You see it in the way how they maneuver, going in and out the dressing rooms, going backstage, going onto the stage, and things of that nature. Even before the show starts, just the way how everyone is moving. You seeing all these parts moving all at once. You're seeing the production crew, the lighting crew, the audio crew, all of them, like the stage hands and whatnot and everything, getting everything together. You're seeing this entire machine in motion, and all the gears are running. Everything is moving forward. You are watching everything literally move forward as the clock is getting progressively is moving progressively closer to curtain time, the curtain opening up and whatnot. You seeing vendors coming in, setting things up, setting their booths up and whatnot. You start hearing the patrons, the theater goers coming in and whatnot and everything, and the show starts.
Mm-hmm.
The show starts and everything now is happening. And I always tell my actors, the night of the show, because we typically do like one show or whatever may have you, but the night of the show though, every word that you say, every line that you deliver, that's your last time delivering it. Make it the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
Make it undeniable. And we fast forward to the very end when it's curtain call and final bows, and when everything is all said and done, and you see the faces of all those actors, you see the faces of all that production crew, you see the faces of the audience, you see the face of what is symbolically the final punctuation at the very last chapter of the book that you just got done writing. That feeling of satisfaction, watching all that culminate and all that come to fruition, and seeing the actors' faces of satisfaction, of completion. There is no drug on this planet that can ever equate to that level of bliss.
Wow.
Never. And that to me is like, that is the that is so definitive to me.
Yeah.
And that right there, like, you can't help but just smile and take all that in, and just seeing them feel so complete, and knowing that you as a producer, talking about myself, were responsible for this moment in their lives. That, like, man, stuff like that lives with you. And it reminds you, like, this is why you do this. This is why you do this, for moments like this, because this is a moment that they'll never forget. And you were the reason why that they have this now.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's that lives with you.
That's such a beautiful way to end. What a dream. Maurice, what do you have like coming up? Where can folks hear more about all that you've got going on? Please share with us so we can find more information.
Absolutely, without question. For more information about what we have cooking, please visit dreamscapetheater.com.
Okay.
Yeah, please feel free to visit that website. We actually have our, excuse me, so sorry about that. So sorry, that was rude.
Oh, it's okay.
I got kind of choked up talking about with that last piece of the conversation. But we actually have a show coming up.
Okay.
It's coming up in February. It's and this is going to be for our annual Black History production. And we're doing Jocelyn Bio's show, Schoolgirls,
Okay.
or the African Mean Girls story.
Okay.
And so this is, in a nutshell, it's a Black version of Mean Girls.
Okay.
It ran here at the Goodman Theater back during the pandemic back in 2020. And so now with Dreamscape Theater, with our theater company, we are excited about being able to bring that back to the Chicagoland area.
Okay.
So, we assembled an incredibly amazing cast.
Uh-huh.
And so, like, we are very excited about it. So please visit the website at dreamscapetheater.com. Tickets will be going on sale at the beginning of January, and we are excited about bringing that back to Chicago.
Oh, man, that sounds very exciting. I love Mean Girls, so I'm very excited just thinking about being able to see a version of that story live. So thank you so much for being on Nosy AF on Lumpen Radio. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. This was a treat. This truly was a treat. Thank you so much, Steph.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, listener, for being here. It is 3:00, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. That's a wrap on another episode of Nosy AF, conversations about art, activism, and social change. I'm your host, Stephanie Graham. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please leave a 5-star rating and review wherever you are listening to the show. It helps new listeners discover it and say, hey, if these folks like this show, maybe I will love it too. Check out full show notes and transcripts at nosyaf.com. And while you're there, sign up for Nosy AF Dispatch, a newsletter where every month I send a roundup of episodes, behind-the-scenes stories, studio tales, and interesting finds straight to your inbox. Thank you so much for your time today. Thanks for listening. And as always, stay curious and take care. Bye.